My family pressured me into being their vending machine, so I pressured them into jail. My family has always treated me like I'm beneath them. They take my money for vacations, take my car keys while I wasn't looking, and return it with an empty gas tank. But every time I needed help, they were busy with an emergency. It started small when I was 16 and got my first job at a coffee shop. My mom borrowed my entire first paycheck and went to the local steakhouse with her friends. In college, my sister Carly convinced me to co-sign her student loan because her credit was temporarily damaged, then defaulted after spending the money on a spring break trip to Cancun, leaving me with a credit score that looked like a failing grade. When I graduated nursing school, my dad asked me to move back home to help with expenses while I was getting on my feet, then charged me market rate rent for my childhood bedroom while expecting me to cook dinner every night and clean the house on weekends. My brother Jake borrowed my car for a quick errand and returned it 3 days later with a cracked windshield and an empty gas tank. I was more than fed up with every single one of them. So even though they told me family was everything, I moved out. But they weren't done trying to ruin me. 2 years ago, my grandmother passed and left me her engagement ring and her will. My mother pawned it in another state and then laughed on Facebook when I wasn't able to get it back. I was heartbroken because the ring was all my grandmother ever had. But the breaking point came 3 months ago when Carly was diagnosed with kidney failure and needed a transplant. Within a week, my parents showed up at my apartment with a stack of medical pamphlets about organ donation and a printed list of compatibility factors they researched online. My mother sat at my kitchen table with tears in her eyes, explaining how Carly had so much life left to live and how I was the only one who could save her because we shared the same blood type. My father nodded gravely and added that if I didn't donate my kidney, then Carly's death would forever be my fault. My mother actually said, "We know you'll do the right thing. Family comes first." The absolute audacity of asking me to literally give up a piece of my body after years of taking everything else I had was the moment I realized they didn't see me as a person, just a vending machine to be used when needed. And vending machines aren't family, so now I had every reason to go nuclear and get back at them. I told them I'd think about it and asked for time to research the procedure, which they interpreted as me agreeing. While they celebrated Carly's second chance, I was quietly documenting everything. I screenshotted old text messages about borrowed money, gathered loan documents Carly had defaulted on, photographed receipts from the wedding fund I'd contributed to, and collected evidence of every financial and emotional manipulation over the years. Then I used all of that and filed restraining orders for every single family member who treated me like their personal ATM for the past decade. The day before the scheduled testing, I called a family meeting at my parents' house, claiming I wanted to discuss the donation timeline with everyone present. They gathered eagerly in the living room, with Carly looking pale but hopeful, my parents beaming with pride about their selfless daughter, and various aunts and uncles there to witness what they assumed would be my noble sacrifice. Instead, I pulled out a folder thick with legal documents and started handing out restraining orders like party favors. "Carly, this prohibits you from contacting me about organs, money, or anything else," I said, placing the legal paper in her trembling hands. "Mom, Dad, yours covers both financial harassment and medical coercion." The room went silent except for Carly's sharp intake of breath. My mother's face went white as she read the legal language, her voice breaking as she whispered, "You can't be serious. Your sister needs that kidney." My father stood up, face red with rage, demanding I stop this nonsense. Carly started sobbing, not about her failing kidneys, but about how she'd never asked for anything and how I was ending her over money. I just walked out the door and let the chaos erupt behind me as Carly dramatically collapsed onto the couch and screamed in pain. 6 hours later, everyone showed up at my door like a desperate mob, thinking that the restraining orders were decorations. My mother pounded on the door while Carly leaned against the door frame and demanded entry. I calmly pulled out my phone and dialed 911. "Yes, I'd like to report multiple people violating restraining orders and trespassing on my property." Within 15 minutes, the police arrived to see my mother chucking stones at my window trying to break it. All of them got arrested and forced into police cars in front of the entire neighborhood. Weirdly enough, they haven't contacted me since that day. Maybe they finally realized their vending machine is now expired.